Well, it's been a while since I made some ReZero content, but I'm trying to get back on it. So this is my effort to get back on it. So I want to make a open discussion video about Subaru just in general, and just kind of give my thoughts and everything about Subaru so far as of Arc 4. But before I get into that, I just want to say a couple things about things outside of this. And when it comes to the review of Arc 4, the chapters 1 through 30, or 130, I want to say that will be coming out soon. I just been way too lazy, and I low-key forgot a lot of the information that happened within the last like 35 to 36 chapters, or however many I read. But but yeah, it be coming out soon, like probably 3 days after this. I don't know how long it's gonna take me to write the script for it, and then recording is gonna take not recording, but editing it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a while, but it should be coming out soon. But other than that, pretty much like kind of like the purpose of this video is supposed to be just kind of like an open discussion about Subaru. And when I say open discussion, I mean like right now I'm just chilling back in my chair, just chilling, and I'm not gonna really be doing like any editing on this. The only editing I'm pretty much gonna be doing is like the audio, and I'm not really finna edit the audio either. Just keep it 100%, not 100% raw. I'm cut out a bunch of like the blank spaces within it. Well, you all would know because it's been edited out by now. But no, when I talk, I either stutter or I just go on like long pauses of just not saying anything. But you all would know. Y'all not gonna know because it's getting cut out. Anyway, it's just gonna be a discussion about everything that happened with Arc 4, with Subaru, just in general. I'm not gonna talk about any other character unless it relates to Subaru. So I got a bunch of topics right next to me, and I'm pretty much gonna just be talking about this. Damn. I'm pretty much just going to be talking about them and just chilling and relaxing, and then you all can just comment down below and just tell me how you all feel about my thoughts and what you think about Arc 4 in general in terms of Subaru's development. But let's just start off with the first topic that I have written down, and it is Subaru's first talk with Roswell. Now, when it comes to Subaru's first talk with Roswell, and this is the talk I'm talking about when this is before, is it before? I think it's before the backstory. And when you initially had this talk with Roswell, it was about how he wasn't there during all of Arc 3, even though he's there in the beginning, but he wasn't there when the witch cultists showed up, and how he didn't help them even though he knew what was going on the entire time. And Subaru, of course, being Subaru, especially at this time, he lashed out at him, got angry. He he tried to punch him, but I think he got stopped. I can't remember exactly, but I think he tried to assault Roswell. But when he did that, I was reading it, I'm just like, come on, Subaru. Like, why? Actually, no, technically I wasn't reading it. I was listening to it, but you get the point. Like, I was like reading it, and I'm just like, come on, Subaru. I was like, I get why he's angry, because, yeah, think about it. Like, yeah, Roswell didn't help you. You all could have died. I get that. I understand. But for him not to help, plus him having a gospel, but at the time Subaru didn't know that. But for him not to help, it helped that Amelia 10 times better. Because he didn't help, he was able to advance her faction, or she was able to advance her faction. Now, if Roswell would have helped, it would have hurt her, because Roswell doing all the work for her instead of her being the front runner of her own show. She's like not helping. She's not helping herself at all if Roswell's doing everything. And Subaru, he was kind of understanding it, but he still didn't like the fact, and he was just lashing out with anger. I was like, come on, Subaru, stop. Like, this is just not, like, you're letting your emotions get ahead of you, and it was just so, I didn't like him. I was like, it was at that point where I was completely 100% on Roswell's side. I was agreeing with him 1,000%. I was completely against Subaru. I don't think he should have reacted that way at all. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And then the next thing I guess I'll talk about is the decision Subaru had with Satella during the Tea Party. Now, I said this during the part 2 review. Yeah, that's when the Tea Party happened. And I said I just didn't understand why he picked her. And it's mostly because I had forgot a bunch of things. But after someone had explained it to me in the comments, they said that like he picked Satella instead of Echidona, which I thought picking Echidona was the best decision. But he said, or they said that he picked Satella simply because he didn't want to turn out like Roswell and be so devoted. I guess to be so devoted to Echidona and lose his humanity in the process. And my whole thing when characters talk about losing their humanity, I think that's such what's the word I'm looking for? Weak? No. I don't want to say stupid, but I'm just not a fan of the idea of humanity, if that makes sense. Because I hate when characters say, well, okay, let's use this for example. A person kills another person. Now that person isn't considered human because he took a life of someone else. But what dictated that once you kill someone, you automatically stop becoming human? You get what I mean? It's kind of more or less just like the rule set of humanity. Like, who decided this is what a human should be? What defined how a human is? And I hate when characters say, I don't want to do this because I'll become less human. Where when I hear that, I just think like, what does that even mean? And it's like I'm not a fan of that. So when Subaru said that, he's like, I don't want to become like Roswell. Like, okay, if you want to become like Roswell, I understand. But the fact that you're saying like you're becoming less human, like what does that mean exactly? It's way too many interpretations of what that means for it to be a solid definition, especially in the way that I think. But I just wasn't a fan of that. And then when it comes to the reason he should have picked Echidona, and the way I think the reason he should have picked it, because for me it was no downside to that. It was pretty much only upside, because Echidona, all she wanted to do was, being the witch agreed, see the world through Subaru's eyes and view everything through his vernacular. Yeah, it gotta be vernacular. You get what I'm saying? See everything through his eyes. And the fact that he didn't want to let that happen, and she even said like, all you gotta do is let me see everything through your eyes, view everything, get this greed, get this knowledge, I want it, and in return I'll give you all the knowledge that I have. So for any sort of test, any sort of situation that you may need help or anything like that, I'll be there to help you. She will be the one standing behind him, guiding him in a way. But it's not guiding him, it's just whenever she need him, he will be there. Whenever he needs her, she will be there for him to give him knowledge and wisdom. I was like, what? Subaru, that is like the best thing ever. You literally have a walking guidebook to life in your head. Like, why aren't you picking that? And I still don't necessarily understand it. I would need to like talk to someone and they would have to like break it down like fundamentally to me. But it's just like, oh my god, I probably need to read up on it more so I can really fully understand why he made that decision. Because to me, it just seemed like no downside in picking Echidona. Because I would definitely just picked her in a heartbeat immediately. But that's just sort of how I feel about the situation. I felt that he should have picked Echidona. I don't believe, like, I hate this idea of clinging to humanity when there's no real definition of what that even means. And so that's just kind of how I feel about it. The next thing I want to talk about is the ReZero plot hole. And so, and so I remember reading this, and I found it, and I wasn't sure if it was a plot hole or like an inconsistency within the narrative. And so I remember after I think reading that chapter and me coming to like the conclusion, like, is this a plot hole or something or inconsistency? And then I had watched C Tactics video, like the ReZero podcast, just so I can, like, of course, refresh myself from when I was doing that review. And he even said that it was a plot hole within ReZero. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm not the only person that sees this. All right, I'm fine. Because like the plot hole is that Subaru talked to Roswell about Return by Death, and as we all know, you can't speak about Return by Death with anyone. And the way Subaru was talking to Roswell, I was letting it slide for the first beginning, because at first Roswell was just alluding to Return by Death, and then he ended up getting it getting it right on the money. I was like, all right, okay, that's fine, long as Subaru doesn't mention Return by Death. If he sort of like super extremely ambiguously talk about Return by Death, he can get away with a loophole. But Subaru I think he didn't exactly say Return by Death, but he was like agreeing and basically speaking about Return by Death without saying the actual name. I was like, bro, how is this allowed? And I can't remember the plot hole exactly, but it was something. I know I'm 100% sure he didn't say Return by Death, but I feel like 25% of me, feels that just a bit of me feels that he said Return by Death, or he said something close to Return by Death. And I read that, I remember reading, I was like, wait, what? Did he really just say Return by Death and nothing happened to him? And if I remember correctly, because no, he doesn't care about Roswell, so at that point Subaru would have died, not Roswell. And so I was like, yo, you just gonna let this plot hole fly? Or like, I'm not even sure it's a plot hole or it's like an inconsistency. I can't remember the exact dialogue, but it's something around there. I just saw that, I was like, whoa, is ReZero contradicting its own story? Is there a paradox within this? But I just found that interesting and kind of wild and crazy. But to move on to like the next topic, and the next topic I got written down is the second talk Subaru had with Roswell. And this was the talk that I kind of started disliking Roswell, is the way he was speaking about Amelia. And as an Amelia fan, Amelia stan, I didn't like that at all. But when it came to this, I'm trying, wait, shit, do I even remember this? Because I remember Subaru getting angry. This was the declaration of the final loop. I remember that. I don't think I remember this talk. Oh, I think it was the humanity talk. Oh, I kind of talked about that earlier. But it was just talk about how Roswell was so devoted to his gospel and that Subaru didn't want to turn out like him. And yeah, I respect Subaru's decision on not turning out that by him. I just respect Subaru's decision on him not wanting to turn out like Roswell. It just, I don't like the idea of him not trying to turn out like Roswell, but the idea of him not wanting to lose his humanity. There we go. That's how I want to phrase it. I didn't like that, but I do like the fact that he's not trying to turn out like Roswell, and I think that is fine. That is perfectly fine. I'm 100% with Subaru, but I barely remember the talk. I can't remember exactly, and since I can't remember exactly, someone, if you would like to comment down below and just kind of brief me on what happened, and then I'll respond. As for the next topic, of course, would be, well, I got Subaru and Otto's relationship. I think I'm just gloss over that because they are a good duo. I do like them as a duo. Otto the GOAT, but I don't think there's really anything much to talk about. Whereas, oh, how can I forget about this? Oh my god, I forgot to write this down. But I mean, I said this in my other reviews on how I like the fact that Subaru. It was during chapter, I think, like 50 through 60, where oh oh my god, I just thought so much stuff. Okay, so it was like the best Subaru to me is when Subaru when he's angry. It's because he just makes some funny decisions and funny things that he does. Like the stupid things that he does while he's angry, I like it, even though I hate it. But it's so funny to me. And so when he during arc 3 during the anime, when he was like in the beginning when he was like so angry and everything, it was after the Betelgeuse episode 15 incident. And so I love that Subaru. But then it wasn't until like the chapter 50 through 60, I think it was, somewhere around that time. I know it's after chapter 50 though. But it was that Subaru where he just kind of just gave up and didn't care about, or he didn't fear dying anymore. So he was just talking to everybody every which way. And that Subaru I loved. I absolutely loved. I thought it was amazing. But I do want to talk about Subaru's backstory. And I feel like Subaru's backstory is so, okay, in hindsight, it's very anticlimactic. It's not uneventful, unnecessary, I guess. Yeah, I can use the word unnecessary. Because looking back, and even I remember after like hearing it, I was thinking, what did this backstory solve? What did it even uncover? Because his backstory, I understand, like from what I can remember and what I understood while I was listening to it, it was that he wanted to be his father, and he was suffering anxiety because he wanted to be exactly like a spitting image of his dad. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's what it was. And he wanted no, and so his dad told him that you don't have to be just like me, son. You can be your own person, and pretty much Subaru grew from that. And I'm like at the time, I liked it. I was enjoying it. I thought it was great. But now I'm thinking about it. What did that solve? Because Subaru's still the same person he was when we first met him in episode 1. I don't see how that made them change. I don't see what that made them get rid of. I don't see what that backstory actually solved in terms of his character. And someone will have to explain that to me, because I can't think of a way. I just don't understand how that backstory helped at all. Another thing I want to talk about is the trials. And when it comes to the trials, I felt the second one, I think it was. Trying to remember, because the first one was the backstory, and the second one, I don't remember. All I remember from the trials, I remember. Oh wait, okay, he didn't take the third one. I think okay, I remember, because I was thinking, I was confusing things. So when it comes to the second trial, I thought it was kind of anticlimactic, but I was no, I didn't think it's anticlimactic. I was hating it at first, because I thought Subaru was gonna like regress in all of his developments so far, and I just didn't like that at all. I can't remember exactly why, because it's been so long, but it was making me like angry that Subaru was gonna like turn back into the I burped. But he's gonna turn back into the person that he was previous. And I was like, come on, Subaru, please don't. And this was like my peak Subaru, the Subaru that I liked, that didn't care about death. And now he was gonna start caring about people in a way that I thought were so stupid. Oh, I remember the second trial. It was the parallel universes, and I was hating the idea of him liking the other parallel universes. Cause I was like, Subaru, why? You don't even know if they exist. Why are you caring so much about them? And I thought that was stupid. I didn't. No, I liked it in the end, because it didn't turn out as I would think it was going to. But as it was going on, I was like very fearful. But I think the last two topics I want to talk about is Amelia and Beatrice. And I guess I will talk about the Beatrice thing first, because I think I can get to that one quicker. Because this is kind of running on a lot longer than what I expected. But with Beatrice thing, you have so the way he handled Beatrice, I felt was better than what I was thinking, but it's the way that Subaru does things that make me kind of irritated because he beats around the bush when things can be done. It's like things can be done in 5 minutes when Subaru would take 20 minutes to do them, and I hate it so much. And I understand it, and his way is like oftentimes probably better, but it's still such a way. And I mean this when it comes to Beatrice, when he after he learns that like the meaning behind Beatrice and her whole backstory and everything, and he finally meets her in the library, and this is like the time he gets kicked out, so it's like the final like part of the arc, and I hated the fact that Subaru was talking to Beatrice and he was yelling at her and just like he was making the situation a lot more complicated when it needed to be. I was like, Subaru, all you had to do is come in there, say hello Beatrice, I am they. You can just give me the they title. I will accept all the knowledge, and we can just get out of here and defeat Elsa and get back to the sanctuary. And I thought that would have been great. I thought that would have been cool. But he decided to not accept anything and just completely just lash out at Beatrice, making her even angrier, sending him out, making the conversation longer. It was just, he was making it way too convoluted. But in the end, it actually worked out better than what it actually than my way would actually work, because in this way he formed Beatrice into her own person, where she wasn't reliant on Echidona and this endless task that she was forced to fulfill. So his way was a lot better, but yeah, it was still he made it so convoluted. I'm like, why? But it's like, for the last topic, it is Amelia. And when it comes to this Amelia thing, it was handled a lot better than what I thought it was going to be, because of the way the story was unfolding. And I like it. I really do, because like so basically, I'm saying when I said that I didn't like it at first, it was mostly because of it was after Puck had left, and Subaru was supposed to stay by Amelia's side that entire night, and then she woke up, he wasn't there, she disappeared, and Subaru said, "What do you talk?" And so it was when that happened. I was so mad at Subaru for leaving her side. I'm like, come on, Subaru, you had one job. All you had to do is just sit at the lady's side, and you've been cool. But then he left. I was like, oh my god. But then you find out the reason why he left, and the original reason was because, what was it? It was because he just went to go like wash himself up, and he said to Ram, like, I saw Amelia see her as I left the room. So I'm like, all right, okay, I can't even blame him. At this point, I gotta blame Amelia. This is her fault. And then you come to find out the real reason and that is because he went into the the tomb to write "I love you" and the whole message and everything. I was like, come on, all right, Subaru. Why they had to bring this back up? I was on your side, and now we're back with it. Like, it helped in the end, yes, but I think the risk was too high to take for that. But it worked in the end, so it worked out. So let's just move on. But I like the relationship has grown a lot. I love that Amelia became very independent, but she understands Subaru's love for her, even though she doesn't necessarily understand. But I would say, to me, Subaru, he has grown a lot. I still do feel like I still feel like the backstory was completely unnecessary. But I do feel like Subaru's grown. He is a lot more mature. He's a lot more understanding now, especially with the talk with Roswell that showed his understanding. So hopefully when I get to read in Arc 5 and Arc 6, he will be he would take on this maturity, and it would help him better in conversations instead of just driving his mouth with the force of emotions. But yeah, I think that's it. Anything I'm trying to think. Oh, last thing I want to say. The if chapters. I will be doing reviews on those. Or I think I said. Oh wait, okay, never mind. I'll need to say that because it's coming out in the review. But anyway, I think this is it for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.